চলতে চলতে অনুষ্ঠানে সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি। আমরা এসেছি কুর্মিটোলা গলফ ক্লাবে এবং আমার আজকের অতিথি ঢাকায় ইউরোপীয় ইউনিয়নের মিশন প্রধান অ্যাম্বাসেডর উইলিয়াম হানা। Ambassador William Hanna, most welcome to my show Cholte Cholte. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Why my first question is why you are choose this golf club for shooting?
Well, I know you're doing a program which is called Walk and Talk, and this is one of the places I like to walk in Dhaka. It's a lovely place. It's so green. I'm able to come here and play a game which I like, which is golf, and also able to see a lot of birds. There's a lot of bird life here, so nice place to be and have a walk and talk with you.
So you are a golfer from how many years?
I've been playing. I've been trying to play this game since I was so high, and I haven't mastered it yet. But we'll try and maybe hit a shot, and then see how we go. And we can.
I think my audience will like to see you as a golfer, and we're just waiting.
Who knows what will happen? We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. I'll just try and go ahead it very slowly.
Yeah. Now we are waiting for your shot. Wow.
Not very good.
Not very good.
No.
So
I think we're going to find that ball in the water. But anyway, we can go and walk
so
and try.
don't you claim you are a very good golfer?
Well, no. I told you I've been playing for a long time.
Long time.
But there's a difference between being a good golfer and playing the game. Anyway, I enjoy it, and it's a great way to get out into the fresh air. I think when we do a round of golf, you probably walk about 7 miles.
7 miles.
During the hole for 4 or 5 hours. It can get very hot out here. You see, it's really already hot in the morning, but it's a lovely place. And I'm always on the lookout, not just for the game of golf, but also for the bird life.
Bird life.
There are lots of kingfishers, masranga. There are kites. There are eagles. All sorts of birds.
So you love the nature very much.
Yes. I mean, anything that's green like this reminds me of home, my home country, which is, is Ireland, which is a very green country. Where we have lots of golf courses. And we've also got some good golfers in Ireland.
So I want to hear from you about your childhood, about Ireland, about when you were very little, that story.
Well, one of the things I remember when I'm going around playing golf is that my father used to play with me. So he used to take me out when I was 8 or 9 years old. And I wasn't really allowed to play and have my own clubs, but every now and then he would allow me to take one shot to practice, and so we would walk around and play with him. That was in Ireland back in the 1960s, so I was growing up at the time. Early 60s was time of the Beatles, time of the Rolling Stones. It was a very, very interesting time to be growing up. We were very connected to everything that was happening in Britain with all the rock and roll and so on. But growing up and I was in Belfast in Ireland, one thing that happened when I was about 13, 14, we came to 67, 68. That was a very troubled time. You're too young to remember.
Yeah.
But at that time there was a lot happening in the world. There was the Vietnam War, there was civil rights was the big theme. And 68 was the students in Paris were rioting, things were happening all over the world. And it came to Ireland as well. It came to Belfast, the desire for civil rights. And so I began to realize that the country I was growing up in, which seemed very pleasant and so on, actually was a divided country. There were divisions, and there were some people who were privileged and others who were less privileged. So it was a time, 13, 14, beginning to question what was happening and why was it happening and why was there. Things were very peaceful up until about 68, 69, and then we had the beginning of rioting. People were demanding their civil rights, and then more violence. And people, I think, know the story of Northern Ireland, and it actually got to a stage in the early 70s of a lot of violence, a lot of people being killed in the streets of Belfast, bombs going off. This is just about the time we get to 71, 72 when we hear about Bangladesh.
Yeah.
But when we're hearing about Bangladesh and it's George Harrison
Yeah, that's
and Ravi Shankar and so on, and learning about this faraway place called Bangladesh, in our country there was a lot going on as well. So it was a time of a lot of change, a lot of conflict.
So you got a chance from your very childhood to know about the people's right.
Yeah. I think well, it was a question also of beginning to question, what is received, because we were being told one version of history, learning one version of history at school, but not all history was being taught. So we had some good teachers who were teaching us to think a little bit to ask questions about why things were happening. And for me, definitely, it was the first time when I had to ask myself a little bit whether everything I've been told is right or wrong, and what is truth and where is history. So that I think was an interesting time, and for me, perhaps the most when I understood it best was when I actually left Belfast and I was studying French.
That is in which year?
I went to France in 1970. And when I went to France and I went there to learn French and stayed with a friend, they would ask me questions about what was happening in Belfast, and I didn't have answers. They would ask me difficult questions. Which side are you on? Why is the army doing this? Why are the protesters doing that? And I didn't have the answers. And I think for me, it's very often when you go abroad, when you go elsewhere, and you're asked questions that you have to start thinking a little bit. If you don't travel, you may not have that opportunity you may just accept what you're being told. But once you travel, you have to see how you're seen from outside, and that makes you question yourself. So I began to question, indeed, what was right and what was wrong in Ireland.
In 1970 or 1971, you were almost a 16-year young man.
Yeah.
You were born in 1955, if I am not wrong. So you have heard the liberation war of Bangladesh at that time. Can you recall anything?
Well, we knew about India, we knew about the partition in 1947, and I had family who'd been in India, so I knew a little bit about that. But I think the first time we hear about Bangladesh is indeed 71, the concert, Harrison and Ravi Shankar, and that's when we first heard about what was going on, and then reports came through. But in those days, there wasn't so much instant reporting. I mean, there wasn't CNN. There were just some reporters sending back, but sometimes the reports were coming in long afterwards. But we got the picture of what was happening, and the picture was one of great suffering, and then of famine and of the refugees leaving the country, and it was linked also to other conflicts that were happening elsewhere in the world. So we were a long way away, but there was a feeling, I suppose, of solidarity. And I think Harrison, through his connections with Ravi Shankar and so on, expressed that. And then the fact that all these fantastic rock musicians came along to the concert, Bob Dylan and all these people who we looked up to as our heroes, drew our attention to that. And later on, that idea that a rock musician would draw attention of the world to a problem was picked up by a couple of Irish musicians. Geldof, Geldof did it in the 1980s with what was happening in Ethiopia, and of course Bono later. So there is a sort of tradition of our heroes, the people we look up to, then getting involved in politics and political issues and drawing the attention of people to what's happening in the world.
I want to know about your student life, especially your university life. What you have studied?
Well, I told you I went to France and I was very interested in French. And then when I was going, it was 1973, and I was really quite keen to get out of Belfast because it was hairy. There were bombs going off and so on. Much better to get out. And I wanted to go to Edinburgh in Scotland, not far away but Edinburgh's a lovely place, and I wanted to go there. My father had been at Edinburgh, so I thought that would be an ambition to go there to study French. But then I thought to myself, it's not enough to just study a language, because if you study a language, you might be able to speak the language, but what would you do later? And 1973 was the year that there was the first enlargement of the European Union. What we called at the time the common market of the 6 countries expanded to include Britain and Ireland and Denmark. So I thought I might as well study something about the European Union. And there was a course in Edinburgh There were only 5 of us who took it, but I said, I'll maybe study that course. It might give me a job later on in life.
Excellent. So we have to take a short break. দর্শক ছোট্ট একটা বিরতি নিচ্ছি, ফিরছি একটু পরে, আমাদের সাথেই থাকবেন।
I was playing rugby.
Yeah.
And that day, and we'd done very badly in rugby. We'd lost the match. And she came up and asked me to dance, and I said yes. Good decision.
বিরতির পর আবারও স্বাগত চলতে চলতে অনুষ্ঠানে। কথা বলছিলাম রাষ্ট্রদূত উইলিয়াম হানার সাথে। Ambassador, again welcome to my show.
Thank
And
you.
you were talking about your education life in Edinburgh.
Yes, so I went to Edinburgh University in '73, and I was there for 4 years. One of the years was spent in France, because I was studying French, so the idea was to go to France and learn the language. And it was in Edinburgh where I met my wife, Paula.
Yeah.
She had, like me, she had come to Edinburgh University because her father had been there, but her father was a doctor and she was coming from Africa. She's Italian, she was brought up in Africa, and I met her after a few months in Edinburgh.
She was your classmate?
Yeah.
Oh.
There was a French class, and I think there were 200 of us. So it took me 2 or 3 months to find her, or it took her 2 or 3 months to find me.
So find her for whole life.
Yeah. That's
What was the process?
1974, and where are we now? We're many years, 35 years later or more.
So who first approached?
Who first approached?
Yeah.
She asked me to dance. We were at a dance. I remember it well. I was playing rugby.
Yeah.
That day, and we'd done very badly in rugby. We'd lost the match. I'm not very happy when I lose. I'm not very happy when I play bad golf. I'm not very happy when I play bad rugby. So I was there at a dance feeling a bit sorry for myself. And she came up and asked me to dance, and I said yes. Good decision.
Good decision.
Good decision.
So after 35 years, you thought that was one of the best decisions in your
I
life?
think that was the best decision of my life.
So want to know more about her, about your...
Well, she's here with me in Bangladesh. She's been with me, and we've been traveling around the world in the different posts where we've been assigned. She's always been there. She does many things. She's a linguist. She's very good at languages. She speaks several languages. She's Italian, but English is really her first language, and she speaks many others. So she's been here doing lots of things. She's been teaching. She's been training. She's been examining, for English language level. She's been doing that as well. She's been writing. She's been going around and participating in lots of projects of her own.
As far I know, she is engaged with some people-oriented activities like Nokshi Katha.
Yeah, no, she's done
some other historical things here in Bangladesh.
Yeah, and I think a lot also, she's visited a lot of the slums with the sisters, the Italian sisters and so on, to see how people live here. So she probably knows Dhaka a little bit better than me. But it's always good. I always like to when I'm visiting projects and going around the country, to be with her, and she speaks the language better. She's going to be appearing on television on Itadi.
Oh, in Bangladesh television?
I think, yeah, she's going to have a cameo appearance. She's very, very excited about that, to star on television as well.
So she will show in Bangladesh television?
She'll be on your television soon,
Yeah.
yes. Look out for her, yeah.
So what about your child? How many children?
Children, well, we have 3 children, and girl, boy, girl, and they're all grown up. But we got married very, very young. Got married after university. So our kids are all grown up, and we have 3 grandchildren, 3 boys.
Grandchildren.
3 boys. So
you're a grandfather?
I'm a grandfather, which is great fun. There are 2 of them are in Edinburgh now. My second daughter, my son. She has one grandchild, the second grandchild. He's called Finn, and then my eldest daughter is in London, and she has 2. Sam was already 4 years old, and Max, who's only a few months. So I have 3 grandsons, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing them over the summer. It's a bit, when you're a long way away, it's a bit of a shame, but we're able to, with Skype now, we're able to Skype them and see them and chat to them, and and you can get quite close, but all the same, it's nice to be with them, because they're such an interesting age.
I have seen some pictures, some photographs of your grandsons with you in your office.
Yeah.
So what's your feelings after being, 2 feelings. when you first time you become father
Uh-huh.
and when you first time you become grandfather.
Ah.
What are the difference between these two feelings?
Well, I don't know. Are you a father?
I am a father.
Yeah, I mean, when your first child is born, it is incredible. It's one of the most beautiful days. I mean, I was there, saw the children being born. When the second one was born, David, I remember he was born on a Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. And I was playing
In which
rugby
year?
in 1982. And I remember after he was born, I was playing rugby that day. I played the best of my life.
Wow.
I was inspired.
So the son is very blessing for you.
Yeah, it's a great blessing. But the thing about the grandchildren, which is lovely, is, and grandparents know this, it's lovely, it's great, and you can be so nice to the children, you've no responsibilities. You don't have the weight of being a parent and trying to worry about. You can come in and look after them and be very friendly. I think it's one of the best roles in life is to be a grandparent. It's lovely.
So Ambassador, almost 3 years you are passing here in Bangladesh. Want to know your evaluation regarding Bangladesh. You have visited many areas of Bangladesh regarding some project. I also visit sometimes with you. So can you?
Well, I mean, I suppose I'm coming to a stage where where I'm beginning to stand back and look at what's happened over the last few years. I would say it's been the most interesting professional experience of my career coming here. I mean, I've been posted to Belgium, to Barbados, to Cameroon, to Uruguay, to Tanzania, to Uruguay, and now to Bangladesh. And some of these were very, very interesting countries. Tanzania was wonderful because my wife was born there and brought up there, and we had a wonderful time in Tanzania. But I think for me, these last few years have been, the most challenging, the most interesting experience. So I think I've learned a lot about the country, a country which people don't know very well. From before you come here, you don't really know what to expect. But it's been very interesting. Professionally, I think it's been very challenging. I've very much enjoyed going around the country, meeting people, going and seeing projects, and most of the projects I've visited really are worthwhile. And that's a great thing to see that the work that you're doing is making a difference and that people appreciate it. So very, very interesting experience. But perhaps it will take some time afterwards to look back on it and evaluate it and compare it with other experiences. I've been posted in Africa and in Latin America, but I'd always felt that it would be interesting to come to Asia and to find out what's happening here. It's very dynamic. There's a lot going on. I think if you look at the last 10 years and you look at the future, this is a part of the world where there's a lot of change. And it's interesting to see it and to be part of it.
What about the people of Bangladesh? Do you like them?
Well, yeah. Am I going to say no? Of course. No, it's people are very engaging in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
I mean, people are incredibly interested in what we're doing, interested in us, they're interested in foreigners. So it's immediately engaging, and that's not always the case around the world. You can go sometimes to some countries where they're a little bit more standoff. Everybody here is interested, wants to know about you, and so there's an immediate contact with people. But I found that also there's a very deep culture in this country. I knew this before. I knew this from my family about the Bengal and its history and its culture. But it's a very rich culture, traditions. The language is so important. The poetry, the music, the art, and so on. So it's an interesting place to be also for the cultural life. I should have spent more time learning Bangla and with the culture, but then I'm a bit addicted to this game as well, so I spend a bit of my spare time here. Will you allow me to finish off the hole, and then we'll go and chat for the next section over across the way? Yeah. I'll play a couple of shots more.
We have to take a break again.
Yeah.
দর্শক আবারও আরেকটা বিরতি নিচ্ছি, বিরতির পর ফিরবো এবং কথা বলবো অ্যাম্বাসেডর উইলিয়াম হানার সঙ্গে। আমাদের সাথে থাকুন।
Village court is an interesting example. Justice quickly, cheaply, and fair justice to people. And that project I think we're going to scale it up and cover more of the country in the future.
বিরতির পর আবার ফিরলাম চলতে চলতে অনুষ্ঠানে। কথা বলছিলাম উইলিয়াম হানার সাথে, ঢাকা ইউরোপীয় ইউনিয়নের মিশন প্রধান। Ambassador, you are talking about your life here in Dhaka, and my question is why you have chosen this life? Why you would like to be a diplomat?
Well, I suppose after university in Edinburgh, I went and spent a year in Bruges. There's a College of Europe in Bruges, and I was very interested in working for the European Union. But one of the ways, you couldn't get a job with the European Union until you had some years' experience. And so the best way to get experience was to try for a foreign service, and I applied for the Irish Foreign Service, and I got in. And I think the diplomatic life appealed to me, the idea that I would use my languages, that I would travel around, see the world, and keep moving. And I was attracted to it in the beginning, and I'm still interested. And as you know, after Bangladesh, I'll go to another country. I'll be going to Ghana. So it's been a very interesting. I've seen lots of interesting places and been around the world.
So you are now you are looking like real ambassador. Your cap, your T-shirt, your everything is the symbol of European Union.
Wow.
And you know, European Union is being an example of solidarity, example of unity.
Yeah.
It's a mega unit of 27 countries. What's your feelings after being the ambassador of European Union? You are not the ambassador of a single country. You have 26 others ambassador almost.
Well, it's different. I mean, I first of all joined the Irish Foreign Service, which would be a small foreign service, and so I was representing Ireland. But I always wanted to work for the European Union, I think because of my background and realizing that conflicts both within countries and between countries are best resolved through dialogue. And that's what the European Union is about. So I was very pleased to work first of all for the European Commission, and to travel to different countries, and then to get the possibility to represent the European Union here. And I think as you perhaps know, the main point I try to make is indeed that experience that we have in Europe after centuries of conflict. Yeah. Centuries of conflict. I mean, tomorrow is the anniversary of the Battle of Waterloo. So for hundreds of years, Europeans were fighting on battlefields, and then they decided to stop that and for the future of their continent to work together. And it has worked. It's difficult. It's very difficult to get people around the table and to agree. It takes an awful lot of effort, a lot of time, but it's worthwhile. It really is worthwhile. And I think Europe's prosperity, its peace and stability over the last 60 years is testimony to that model of sitting down, working together and dialoguing together is the best way forward, and that's what we try and project.
Last 3 years here in Dhaka and in Bangladesh, you have to face some difficult situation, especially the political situation. Some days ago, Bangladesh was in a conflict situation, and you with some other ambassador have taken some initiatives. Obviously, you have some interesting memories regarding this. Can you tell us any one of them, the most interesting memory?
I'll put them in my memoirs, which will be published in 10 years' time. Yeah. No, I think it's been, as I said earlier, it's been a very interesting time to be here. And there's been a lot of interest in what our position would be. And particularly last year, when things were getting a little bit difficult here, we were very much in the headlines trying to do our job. And I think in the end of the day, all we're trying to do is to say, well, here is a model, here is the question of democracy and human rights, and this is what we believe. Now, it's then up to countries to decide themselves what they're going to do and how they're going to work forward. But I think it's our duty to always recall the principles on which we're based. And I think what we try to do is to be coherent. If we're talking about compromise, dialogue, reaching agreements within the European Union in our internal policy, well, then we try, and our external policy tries to reflect that. So we've tried to do that, and I think it's been appreciated in this country. But as I say, in the end, Bangladesh has to decide its own destiny, and we're very interested to cooperate with the country and to keep working with the country in lots of different areas.
Ambassador, you are going to leave Bangladesh very soon, I know. And during your period, you, especially the EU, is the biggest market of garments industry in Bangladesh. And the Rana Plaza tragedy, Tajrin tragedy happened in front of your eyes. And you have worked a lot regarding these issues. Can you recall these memories?
Well, I think, I mean, you remember indeed, because I think you interviewed me at the time, that this was an important turning point in Bangladesh. And I felt it was important at that stage to show the connection between Bangladesh and the world and its biggest market, and to reflect the concern of consumers in Europe about what was happening. And I think we managed to do that, and I think we managed to jointly enter into commitments to bring safety into the RMG sector to bring the right for freedom of association into the sector where it wasn't accepted before. I think that a lot has been done. I really think that with the inspections of factories now, a lot of factories can say that they're safe, and the workers who go there can feel that they will be safe and will be able to work in good conditions. And I'm pleased that we've been able to do this in a positive way. I think the words we've been talking about are staying engaged, keeping engaged, not sanctioning Bangladesh, but saying, look, this is a real problem. The sector is so important for your economy, for your jobs, for your future. We must work together to sort this out. And it's been, a lot of work has gone in, and sometimes you wonder, but I think my feeling at the moment is that we have passed the tipping point. There is change. Change has come. Some of the people in the industry, the captains of the industry, tell me when I talk to them, they say, no, it is happening, change is happening. And that I think is the important thing, to see where a change is necessary. The old model won't hold, and to support it. And if Bangladesh can do that perhaps in some other areas, I'm thinking of the leather sector, for example, where it's beginning to happen, where people are beginning to be aware of the risk to the environment. I'm thinking of the formalin question, where people the awareness has to be there that this concerns everybody. I mean, it concerns me. I'm eating the food here. It concerns you. It concerns everybody what food we eat. So these questions of standards, of having standards, basic standards, thinking about the people behind the jobs and the industry are important.
One thing, Ambassador, can you remember, you have a project regarding village court. Yeah?
Yes.
And we have traveled Bogura and Rampur areas. So do you think still conflict, how we can regulate the conflict among ourselves?
Well, I think the village court is an interesting example. Here is a form of local justice accepted by people, and our project, working with the UN as well, has tried to revive the village courts in each village, and we went and saw how that actually does bring justice quickly, cheaply, and fair justice to people. And that project we're going to scale it up and cover more of the country in the future. Anyway.
Okay, Ambassador, thank you for your valuable time.
Thank you. আমি খুব খুশি এখানে এসে। ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে। Thank you.
দর্শক, কথা বলছিলাম ঢাকায় ইউরোপীয় ইউনিয়নের বিদায়ী রাষ্ট্রদূত এবং মিশন প্রধান উইলিয়াম হানার সাথে, জানলাম তার জীবনের নানা না বলা কথা। আমাদের সাথে থাকবেন এবং দেখা হবে পরবর্তী পর্বে অন্য কোনো অতিথিকে নিয়ে।